I open the sewer subcommittee. Just wanted to report quickly. We did refer last time. We referred to have a quick meeting here with Rob Perry, Rob Fitzsimmons, and Ray regarding the future connection request. We did meet with them. Rob Perry did find a number of very interesting documents on procedures and whatnot, and we've come to realize that it's up to the district to restructure some of this. So we suggested some changes that ultimately the sewer district will be responsible to adopt. They are going to develop updated regulations and then present them to us in the near future. Ray may have more on that, but I just wanted to announce that we did do that. Ray and Kathy have a meeting set up tomorrow to go to Whittier and deal with some of the issues that have been going on out there that have been discussed by this committee, and I'll let them fill you in more on that. But
okay, good.
Ray, if you would take it from there.
Sure. So just to touch base on the items that you had brought up. So regarding the regulation, so yeah, when Ed Stifler had moved on and from being chairman of the sewer committee there, he had left a box of documents for Rob Perry, who's currently the chairman. And so Rob had actually gone through the entire box to see what existing information may be available as far as the original formation of the water and sewer districts. But then more importantly, as we've been discussing the issue at Whittier, anything with respect to the rules and regulations as it pertains to the sewer district and its operation and violations of erroneous materials and things like that that may be placed into the sewer system. So he was able to recover such a document. However, in reviewing it, it does provide us some teeth as far as our initial issue with Whittier, which is very good news. It does provide for the ability of fines, and it does identify the fact that they're not able to provide or place items into the sewer system that may affect the ability of that sewer system from proper operation. But we believe that it could use some additional teeth, if you would, as the district moves forward. So we will be updating those regulations. I actually already started that process. And part of the discussion was the fact that since the wastewater is going from the Commerce Center and ultimately going to Greenport that accepts that wastewater, we're modeling a lot of the items based on the town of Greenport wastewater regulations. So that way they'll marry one another as far as that goes. So again, I'm working on that document now, and I will have a draft put together within the month. So I'll have that put together. I'll send that over to Rob for his review before it starts going out to others as well.
Ray, Jay, if I just have a comment to make. One of the issues that I talked to Rob about historically, and he said to wait until the new sewer district was put in place, was that we want to have the ability to be able to put a tax lien on users that do not pay. And historically, we have not been able to do that. So would you also please talk to him about that as well?
Sure. So that's tax lien on any lack of payment, whether it's their annual payment or whether it's their user fees.
Right. Thank you.
Very good. Absolutely. Thank you. So associated with the regulations and the operation of the sewer district, there was the issue of Whittier. So we actually, as Supervisor Knott had indicated, we did have a telephone discussion with the current owners and describe the situation that the county currently has as far as its issues with the blockages that have been occurring, and described some of the materials that we've been receiving down into the wastewater stream as well. What they understood, they have at least indicated that they're willing to work with the county. Again, these are new owners. We were dealing with previous owners prior. And they actually invited us to come to the facility with Supervisor Eldridge, who happened to work there in the past, to basically review what their current operation is and to try to identify where some of these hot spots are. where the ability of placing these rags and debris into that collection system that ultimately work their way over to the sewer plant. And by doing so, we're looking at one of two things, either seeing what they can do inside of the building to try to alleviate the problem by eliminating some of those locations. And if that's not feasible, then we'd be going back to the grinder on the outside of the building. But at least they're willing to at least discuss, what's taking place. And I'm also going to try to bring some photos if I can, because I do have some old photos of some past blockages and some of the issues that we've had in the past. So I'm going to try to bring those for discussion tomorrow. So we're meeting on site tomorrow morning, and then I'll be able to report to the subcommittee next month as far as the outcome. All right. Anything related to those two items? Any questions? And then I'll give an update on the construction.
I just have a quick question for
Yes.
you, Ray. Since I've been as the supervisor, Brian's taken pictures. Are these some of like the recent pictures that he's taken? Or,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Good.
Yep.
All right.
And I
And
assume Rob is there, and you've got an accounting, a little bit of a rough accounting of what kind of money we're spending annually to take care of these problems. You have those numbers?
As far as, I'm sorry,
So, does Rob have a list of some of the expenses that we've incurred?
oh, my apologies. Yes, he does. Yes, because as a matter of fact, that discussion did come up. And so he was very clear to the new owners as far as the type of expenses the county has been incurring every time there has been one of these blockages. So yes, Rob does have that information. And he did share with the owners some of that information as well.
And one of the things,
Go ahead.
so that one of the things as well is, if they have an inventory, so you bring in, say 1,000 washcloths and 1,000 towels and 1,000 sheets on the first of the month, and at the end of the month you're ordering them again. Where do that was always the issue. Where are they going? And that's where they're going. Those kind of that's part of the process. Why do you keep ordering? Because here they are. So you have the pictures to show them. Because we used to go through 1,000 washcloths a week sometimes.
Right.
They'd get flushed or thrown out. So
Yeah. And quite honestly, I mean, while we are going, and I think it's important for them to understand what the county's been dealing with, and for them to understand where these areas are, I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to do an adequate job about stopping these items from entering the system. So I do believe that, quite honestly, they'll be back to a grinder system, long term. So again, because it's only as good as the policing operation. And again, because I know the county has reached out to the past owners in the past, and after they were notified, it got better for a while, but eventually the issue came back again. So again, by all means, tomorrow, I think it's important for us to go and for them to really understand to the extent of the magnitude, Kathy, that you're aware of as far as past history. But ultimately, I do think that something will still have to be done on the outside of those buildings.
yeah.
As far as a grind.
And once the old owners who were once it went into receivership, that they knew that it was going to be bought there, because it seemed like it was forever in receivership, they just kind of washed their hands and, backpedaled as much as they could, which they did a very good job of,
Right.
not responding. So,
Supervisor Guzzi, you had a question?
No, I'm good. It's just
Okay.
there was a considerable amount of money spent, with these clogs every time. That's all.
yeah.
Right.
And I think we do have the ability to back charge them. We just haven't been doing it all, but
Yeah.
Oh, that's always been my bone of contention.
Right.
I'm shutting up now. Thank
And not only that, but actually just so one of the nice things that we were actually able to find within the current regulations of the sewer district is that there is the ability to provide daily fines for every day and every occurrence as well. So potentially that could be substantial fines to Whittier. So,
Right.
Hey Ray, if you're going down to meet with them, like just in the past month, we've had since May 24th, the 6th, June 9th, June 15th, and yesterday.
I'm sorry, wait, 24th, June 9th,
June 9th.
And June 21st.
And
Okay.
the 15th also. Do you want me to go back and I can maybe email you from this whole year every time? This way you can go there with a list saying
Absolutely.
this year,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me between now, our meeting's in the morning. So between
All right.
now and then, as best as you can, just give me, if it's 6 months, then give me 6 months worth, or however far back you can.
I,
go.
I have it all on my phone. I can get it to you. I'll
Sure.
break it down and send it to you.
Okay. Excellent.
You
Ray, I
don't
got a
happen to
question.
have any pictures from the last couple of times, do you, Brian?
Probably not. I've asked Ed to try to have his guys every time just take pictures and get them to me, but I think they're probably a little not very clean and probably don't want to be talking
Yeah.
doing stuff with their phone. So
Gotcha.
I'll try to tell them if they, give me a call. I'll come out and take them myself and see what's going on. But I know definitely, I think they were. I had pictures before, so I had them keep them.
Yeah, because I made a list I was also talking to not only Ed, but John. And I was getting a list of the various types of material that they've seen down in there as far as the blockages, whether it be the rags, the absorbent pads, the very large one, they're like a 3x3 absorbent pad that were being placed down there, as well as it's a fiber wipe. It's not like a paper towel or anything like that. It's actually got fibers in it. So I got a list of some of the items that are actually being placed down into the system. But yeah,
Right.
if you give me that'd be wonderful.
Question, Ray.
Yes.
So being that this goes in the industrial park and everything, do we have regulations set aside of what can and what cannot be dumped into the sewer?
Yes.
That is up to date?
So it's not up to date. We do have old regulations that we were able to find and that are on the books. So they were passed as county laws way back when the district was, shortly after the district was originally formed. And so there is some language in there as far as what items can and cannot, wastewater strength, different issues such as that. But that being said, we do feel that there's quite a bit of updating that needs to be done. And that's the process that we're dealing with right now. So the good news is that there's currently something on the books. So the county can take action against Whittier or others, if there's others that are found as well. But they do need some brushing up. We do need to update those to bring them up to current standards.
Okay. And anybody new hooking in is going to be the same thing.
That is absolutely correct. Correct.
Okay.
That is absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Donnell has a question?
Yeah, may I ask a question if I'm not on this committee? Is that all right?
Certainly.
Ray, you may have said this already, but who bears the expense of the grinder attachment?
That would be the property owner. So in this case, it would be Whittier.
And does that grinder, the byproduct of that, does that offer any problems further downstream with plugging up finer filters, or is that the best way to go?
That is the best way to go. Yeah. So actually it doesn't, because what'll happen is that number one, the type of impellers that we're utilizing, they don't get caught up as far as the smaller fibers. It passes it very readily. Then once it gets down to the town of Greenport actually utilizes several methods. They use a bar screen to take out the large materials. And then they actually use a vortex unit as well to take out the finer materials as far as grits and smaller items. So it actually is dealt with in that manner there. So it won't have any adverse effect downstream for us.
So it's just like a centrifuge?
Actually, it's what's known. We used to call them one of the largest manufacturers called the Muffin Monster. So it's actually it grates it, so it makes it into fine material. It's a very large grater, if you would, and it grates the material down.
All right, thank you.
Sure. And also, not only is the installation, and this is one of the sticking points about where they originally were designing it, the grinder, the capital cost is the owner's responsibility, but the future maintenance associated with it is to be the owner's responsibility as well. We do not want that to fall on the county. And that was one of the problems that I had in reviewing it on behalf of the county. Was they were proposing to place a single grinder within the county's sewer collection system to deal with both facilities, the Whittier nursing home as well as the assisted living facility, to try to save themselves some money. The downfall, while I understand their thought process and it is a cheaper alternative for them, the downfall for the county is that's a county-owned system. And in dealing with the DEC, and we've dealt with the DEC in other matters similar to this, since that system is county-owned, even though a private owner may have gone in and made an improvement, ultimately the responsibility of that unit, as far as maintenance, as far as any blockages that cause damage, ultimately that would fall back onto the county as far as responsibility. And that would include fines, replacements, or anything like that. So we were trying to get away from the county being liable for that type of work. Okay. So if nothing else, then I'll move on to the construction portion. So as folks may have realized and may have seen, the crew are very busy. So they're actually running 3 construction crews during good weather. Today, I think they were down to 2. The drilling crew wasn't operating today when I was out there. They had one set of machinery putting in the gravity, and then they had a second set working down at Dutch Village working on a pump station. But they are trying to utilize 3 crews, a drilling crew that are continuing to drill and use drilling technologies for the installation of the force main portion. They're then open trenching for the gravity portion. So you'll see the large excavators along the side of the road there. And then there's a separate crew that is actually installing the individual pump stations. So they are running 3 crews again during good weather, excuse me. So at this time, the 3 major highway crossings have been completed. So that's one down at Dutch Village. Second crossing was done between the mobile station and Village Dodge across Route 9H. And then the other one down by the nursery or the mulching facility, excuse me, into the Commerce Park. That third one was done as well. So all 3 of the major highway crossings are done across New York State Route 9. There's approximately 50% of the force mains have been installed. Again, most of that work has been done utilizing directional drilling technology, which costs a little bit more overall, but not by much, because there's quite a bit of savings that actually takes place because of you don't need to go back and restore large areas as far as that goes. In addition, it's helping us out in areas where there's large trees very close to the edge of the right of way and so forth, because the drilling is actually occurring underneath the root structures. So we're not damaging the roots or damaging the trees in any way. That was a major concern of many of the property owners during the design phase when we had met with them and we were trying to obtain easements. So we're utilizing this technology to try to avoid those as much as possible. And so far, it's been really successful for us. So in addition to the gravity lines that are being installed, to date, the contractors have installed 2 pump stations. So the pump stations are the concrete structures as far as what are known as the wet wells. But in addition to that, to the actual pump units themselves that sit on top. So if you're driving along 66 and you're close just to the, I'm going to call it the south side of Mobile on the right-hand side, you'll see an area of construction, and it almost looked like, lack of a better term, a doghouse. It's a green doghouse that sits on top of a metal plate. And that's actually the pump station itself. So all the mechanical components are actually located above grade. So that way it's very easy to maintain rather than having the old style where the pumps are down into the wet well and so forth. Obviously, that's the units themselves. There's still controls that need to be installed, generator, fencing, landscaping, things of that nature, but the structures themselves are currently being installed. And so far they have a pair of those. We have had one, if you would, setback associated with COVID as it pertains to the supply chain. And that's associated with the generators. So originally the generators were anticipated to be delivered by the end of May. We did just receive about a week ago, maybe it's a week and a half now, a letter from Cummins. They're the suppliers and manufacturers of the generator systems for each one of the pump stations. As far as the backups, they've run into an issue as far as their supply chain for the computer boards that are placed inside of and the controllers for the generators because they're coming from overseas, and there's been a slowdown in production worldwide as far as that is concerned. Right now, they're estimating that that would be about a month and a half delay. So the new date for delivery would be roughly mid to late June, as far as that goes. Although it's a bit of a setback, it's not along the critical path. So even if coming in at that time, the end of July, it's not going to adversely affect the overall construction schedule as far as that goes. So that's some good news. Again, we're just hoping, and we're going to continue to keep our eye on that item as far as any continued issues as far as being able to get those on time. That to date has been the only real issue as far as supply is concerned. The general contractor has been able to get all of his materials, whether it be pipe, concrete, the pump stations. All of those items have been, coming in on time, and we have not had any issues. The generators, as far as those control boards, are the only item that have been a delay to date. Okay. Financially, we understand that the money is starting to come in as far as reimbursement to the county. So obviously that's good news. Ron had reported on that last month. There continues to be a holdup on roughly just over $70,000 as far as reimbursement associated with the engineering, part of its design, part of its construction. I did speak with EFC today, and they are approving one of the last contracts that we had with the county. And again, that was a transition between Morris and CPL. So that's in the process of being approved. And then and that'll free up some of that cash flow as far as reimbursement. And then the second item, they are the last quarter of reporting for MBE, WBE as it pertains to the construction inspection. Needs to be submitted by CPL, by my firm. Once that's submitted, that'll also free up the remainder. So we're currently in the process of doing that. So that should be resolved either the end of this week, by latest middle of next week. So hopefully that means that the next time the county goes in for a reimbursement, those funds would then be released. Okay.
So that's my 78,000, Ray?
That's yes, that is correct, Ron. That is your 78,000, correct. I did speak with them, and both of the items are related to the engineering portion. A small portion of that is still related to the design aspect of it. And then more recently, the WBE, MBE reporting requirements for the construction phase. But they're both engineering related.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep, and we'll get that straightened out. I didn't know why. I asked them, I said, if something like that comes up into the future, I just requested that he, in the email, when he contacts you about it or provides you a response, I just asked him to provide a little more detail. So that way we can follow up with it, very quickly and try to get it resolved as quickly as possible.
All right, that sounds
Right.
good.
That's all I have regarding the construction, unless any of the subcommittee members have any other questions for me.
We have any issues with the connections at the poles with the power companies, or is that all pretty much, that's not going to hold us up, is it?
No, all of those have been, I'll double check on that. I have not heard of any delays. I know that all of the applications have been submitted to National Grid for each one of those locations, and they have been processed.
Okay.
I will double check with my folks in the field as far as the site manager to see whether they have any tentative dates from National Grid as far as the actual connections.
Good. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Because I agree. I do know in the past on other projects, I've seen a lot of holdups on those, but I know we got our applications in pretty soon after the bids were awarded.
Right. Also, we ordered those generators very early.
Yeah.
We did.
Good.
Yeah. Again, both of those and the pump stations, they were ordered just about the same time, and that was back in the late winter, and unfortunately, again, they're linking it directly to COVID, and I've heard that with other manufacturers unrelated to this project. I know.
Automotive. Anyway.
Yeah, everything's I have a couple of projects. I have a couple of building projects out to bid right now. And it is unbelievable the timeframes that I am hearing for equipment, HVAC equipment. I have a large vehicle lift that'll lift town trucks, as a matter of fact, highway vehicles. When we first looked at ordering it off a state bid back in February, excuse me, it was a 90-day waiting period. We're now up to 280 days, and the price has gone up 25%.
Wow.
So the lift was originally $200,000. It's now 225.
But new construction in South Carolina or Florida is not that
Wow.
expensive. The same as one that's been there for 20 years. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, also one other item, and my apologies for not following up with this earlier. One of the other items that we did discuss, that is to say, Rob Fitzsimmons, myself, Supervisor Knott, and Rob Perry, we also did discuss about how to potentially move forward as far as out-of-district users and things like that. So we do believe out-of-district users and coming up with that a type of formula for compensation to the sewer district is in order, rather than trying to expand the district itself at this point. So again, for the next meeting, I'm going to try to come up with some bullet points of pros and cons and looking at various ways of getting that accomplished. But at least that way, the committee has some information on that.
Who was involved in that?
I was involved with it. The county attorney, Rob Fitzsimmons, was involved with that. Rob Perry was involved with it since he's the chairman of the sewer district and water district for the Commerce Park, and then Supervisor Knott. And it's for discussion purposes to show what the various types of options are, ultimately to make a recommendation on how to proceed.
Okay.
Yes, I do. A question while we're on it. I know this is sewer district, but you threw water in there too while we're at it. Any more discussion on the possibility of what we're going to do with water up in that area to change anything, or is that going to be for a later date?
We did not discuss that. I do believe that the county really needs to look at that. I think part of that is water tank, water storage tank, and distribution as well. But no, we didn't actually discuss that. But at some point, the county needs to undertake that process as well.
Yep, I definitely think we have to, because like you said, it's Greenport's water, it's Clover's land, and it's a county district. So all that stuff should be discussed and get that ironed out once and for all and be done with it, I think. So I agree with you, Ray.
Yeah, and I do believe it really needs to be looked at at a large scale. Not only the projects that we hear may be coming or projects that may be interested. Like
Right.
Stewart's has indicated that they're interested. There's the housing project that keeps getting tossed up at the intersection of 9H and 66 as well. But I think there needs to be a further thought process of not only that, but other potential lands to serve.
Right. Well, Ray, would you say that isn't there a lot of potential right now with the state offering up money for water districts and stuff like that? So, I mean, to me, it would be, I hate to see it go to the wayside and goes away on us, where we could maybe take advantage of that. We
Agreed.
should definitely look at that. So I know it keeps coming down. So let's see what we can grab from them if we can.
Yeah,
It
no,
helps.
I agree. Yeah, I think the water storage tank needs to be one of the primary items that really needs to be looked at and invested in.
Okay. Just wanted to bring it up, Ray.
Yep.
We're on it then. Thank you.
All right, any other questions to come before the sewer subcommittee? Not, I thank Ray for his updates and keep the project rolling best you can. I know it interferes with traffic, but it's happening good, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. I know folks aren't too happy driving along 66, especially if they hit both of those, at different times where they're not open at the same time. It slows you right down for sure. So just be patient and build a little extra time into your travel. Stay patient, please.
It won't go on for long.
Yeah, it always.
Yesterday, they were painting the lines right above, up by Ghent Wood Products too.
Oh,
So you had a whole line of cars backed up, and then you had 3 different spots going into Hudson.
yeah.
People drive like maniacs, though, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
There was a tree down up there yesterday anyway, across the road.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw the tree down.
Just to add to it.
Yep.
Good. All right. Thank you, everyone.
If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Ray.
All right.
All right.
To adjourn.
I'll see
So
ya.
move second.
Right? Take
All
care.
right. Same link for the next meeting, guys.
Okay.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Aye.
meeting. Before we jump into the reports, I just wanted to have a discussion with everybody and have the department heads and the committee weigh in. And I just thought, with the passing of Dean, losing Dean from the engineering department has been a traumatic loss to the engineering department, as you can imagine. There was a time, people tell me there was 7 or 8 members in the engineering department. I remember it operating well with 4 or 5. Lately it's been down to Dean and a couple of part-time people. With Dean gone, we've got a couple of part-time people. And I will say that, you know, Tony and Brian, everybody, many of our contracting firms that we deal with around the county have been wonderful and stepped in and trying to keep things rolling along. But it can't go on that way. Barb Adi is the main person over there right now. Barb met with Matt and I and Michael Reardon yesterday, and we talked about the future of the department and what we should do. So where I think that we should consider as a committee is to go back to a commissioner of public works. And for those of you that aren't familiar, you know, we have a local law that the county adopted back in 1974 that created a commissioner of public works. And for years and years, that's how the county operated. The commissioner oversaw all of those departments, being solid waste, engineering, highway, and facilities. Just to read a line from that local law, and I can share this local law with all of you for you to consider. But the main object here is to be responsible for the construction, maintenance, supervision, repair, alteration, demolition, custodial care of all county-owned buildings and operated airports and facilities. Parking, highways, bridges, parking fields, drives, and related facilities, parks and related, I'm reading it twice there, walks and other facilities in the nature of the public works within county jurisdiction or where contractually or otherwise appropriate and lawful. That covers an awful lot of ground. It's an important key position within all of these departments, and I can tell you the last person that held the position was Dave Robinson. Many of you probably remember Dave, but when Dave left us, at that time we had Bernie Kelleher, we had Jolene, we had Bob Pinto, we had Dean, and everybody was functioning very well. And we thought that, you know what, the department heads don't necessarily need another layer over them. But I've seen times where we've missed that person, and I think all the department heads can agree with me that sometimes it would be good to have a commissioner to rely on. A commissioner requirement is to have a PE license, so that somebody in the department has a PE license. Right now, we kind of don't. So that would be my consideration, is to go back to that. I'm not trying to have somebody micromanage all of the great department heads we've got, but I'd like there to be a stronger engineering department to be a resource to highway facilities and solid waste and the entire county. I think it would be good. I think we could save some money, even though this position is a costly position. I think we could save money in some of the contracting that we do with other firms where we reach out to do small engineering jobs. If we could do them in-house, we could save some money. It would take growing the engineering department, but I think it's a direction that we need to go into before we hire too many more people back in the engineering department. And if the committee is in favor of that, you know, we would have to go to the budget committee and try and find the money for this. But Kathy has a question.
Who do you have in mind, Ron?
I don't at this point in time, but I would just like to advertise and get the committee behind this concept. And we have a job description on the books. We would have to go through an advertising process here, but if we could leverage the money, I just think the position would be very important to the county.
Mm-hmm.
Jeannie, you're muted, Jeannie.
So maybe you've already answered this. Good afternoon, Ron, by the way.
Definitely.
So even if there was this new commissioner, then we would still take steps to fill in the engineering department itself, right? You're looking to get, I mean, we need some more people that did the kind of work that Dean did, right?
Yes, yep, and, a commissioner can do some of the things that Dean certainly did, but, one of Barb's, points was, we have no boots on the ground contractors anymore that can go out and do surveying and things like that, and I know that highway used to rely on engineering to be able to do some of those things, and Tony can speak to that, but yes, we're gonna need more than one person, but, the question is, who do you hire first? And
Yeah.
I would be in favor of advertising for a commissioner, trying to get somebody involved, and I don't know how quick we can do that, but that'll take a little time. But if we did that, then that person could help fill in the needed staffing where we need it.
Okay.
Hippie? You're muted, Kip.
I'd like to, Rod, is there pricing on this yet? Do we know what it would cost the county for commissioner?
So, yeah, if we took Dave Robinson's salary that he left at today, and ran it out with the 2% increases today, it's $120,000 a year position that we would have been paying him today. So I'm just throwing that out there, and I don't have a
Yeah,
set.
no, and again, I'm just asking. So what you're trying to say is we need a commissioner to oversee, and then we'd still have to hire some engineers?
No, I don't think you need to have necessarily another engineer. I think we need one PE in the county structure here, with somebody with a license, but then lesser staff underneath that,
Okay. Just wondered where we're going.
This is Chris. This is Chris. From a management perspective, I think having a commissioner makes a lot of sense. There are a lot of key departments, and the coordination of those departments, as well as the engineering function, I think would call for this move. Would be my thought.
Thank you. Jimmy, put your hand up.
Yeah, I remember when we had this discussion several years ago, when we actually did away with the commissioner's position. And, through the years as we've been operating, there's been many a times I think that if he was here, we had that commissioner could have saved us considerable amount of money on some of these projects. Every time we turn around, we're going out to bid. And so a PE would definitely be useful, but we have to make sure that the PE is going to use it also. He's going to be acting with it, not, we just don't want him to have the position. We want him to actually be able to help use it,
Yes.
So, I think it would be good. I think it's time if we can do it, but the right person is always the key. But the right person that's going to be able to work with us in Noda County is going to be really the key,
Exactly. Tony or Jolene, do you have anything you'd like to weigh in on that?
I would just say that I think it would be a good move on part of the county. I know with the projects that I have going on and moving forward with revamping the stations and the top load building, it would be an asset to have an engineer to assist with the permitting and other tasks that we are going to be faced with moving on.
Ron, would we have to cut anywhere else in the budget to afford this position?
Well, that's what I need to go talk to the budget. We're gonna have to, in my mind, we're gonna have to grow the department some, but I think there's other revenues that can offset this and maybe wait for reductions, to help pay for the salary. But we're at the beginning of next year's budget season. Start talking about it.
And how can we seduce Ray Jerkowski away from his firm? He seems to know what's going on.
I can't answer that for him. We can advertise. Tony?
Yeah, I think on the highway end, it would be definitely a great resource for us. It's, with Dean, we were always able to just reach right out to him whenever we had questions. And I worked with Dave back in the day as well. Just having that PE background makes a big difference, especially when it comes to bridges, designing drainage, all of that stuff. It's a great resource for us, and I think it'd be good.
Thank you. Mike Benvenuto.
Just knowing the history, and I just want to throw this out there. Whoever, puts the specs together, whoever's doing the interviewing, when the hiring's made, it's got to be someone who's familiar with working with unions and adhering to collective bargaining agreements, because in the past, that's caused us a great deal of headaches.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mike. Jim Guzzi's got a question, comment.
Yeah, I guess to help pay for that, that was something that I was going after myself. Hopefully that we can save enough money on these small little projects every time we turn around. That could offset pretty quickly his salary from a PE standpoint. So that could be a way of funding it also, Ron, indirectly. Every time we do a little small project, we don't need to go ahead and, hire an engineer or a firm,
Like I said, there could be 0.4 reductions that could cover the 0.1 salary, I think.
Yeah. Very good point, Mike. Yeah.
All right, well, if the committee is somewhat in favor, I'd like to go to budget committee and start asking them for permission, and then we would, create a job. I'll circulate a job description, which is a local law that the county adopted. I kind of think the specifications and standards still fit today for somebody that we need. But then if that was pleased everybody, we could advertise for that and see who we can get.
You want a motion for that?
Sure.
I'll support that. I'll make that motion.
When this goes before the Board of Supervisors, would it be a roll call vote? Or would it be just a resolution that's voted on, like in that group of that cluster of resolutions that you get?
Any supervisor can call for any resolution to become a roll call vote. There are certain statutes that require a roll call vote, like when you're doing a bond and you need a two-thirds majority vote. But anytime, any resolution can actually be called for being a roll call vote. But right now, I think, I'm not sure the process in this, what we got to do.
The only concern I have is because I'm on other committees, and when they talk about hiring other people, like in the mental health aspect or the health department aspect, there's like a freeze on everything, and they're not putting in. That's my my area of concern. Like, where would this go? Talk about bringing somebody in from $100 and some $1,000 a year, which would be a couple of nurses in the health department, or some mental health workers, with the 8-week backlog. That's where my thought process is going. So
no, I understand the hurdles, but
I know.
I think we got to start with the budget and salary committee, and see if there's support there, and
okay,
I'll work its way through.
Then
Ron,
I'll
second it, Ron, but I'd like the same thing. I think we need to write up our pros and cons of this. What's the benefit package going to be for this? It's very important to the other supervisors to understand that, because like you said, for $100 and some $1,000 salary, and they're looking to hold back all the costs.
Right.
We got to prove to them the savings that this is going to do to the county. It's going to be better for the county than to sit there and have an engineers or a couple engineers and we go out for bid on everything we have to do, which we all know is expensive. So I agree with that. So you got my second.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeannie, before we vote?
Yeah, I'm just thinking too about the person that we're not replacing Dean. It's a different role, but we want to have someone who has some of the skills that he had. And I've only been around for a short time compared to many of you, but what I sensed was that he was very good at being able to get us grant money. And so we need somebody who's not just an engineer and knows how to build a road, but figure out how to help us pay for it. And that's what I thought Dean was really a master at, among other things.
Yeah. No, you're right. So yeah, I'll circulate a job description and everybody can weigh in. And if there's new things that you think we want before we go out to look for somebody, you know, that we want to add to a job description. But I think what's already on the books actually covers pretty well. I'm surprised, but so I'll send everybody some stuff for thoughts, and we'll continue to talk about it. But we're not doing anything major tonight. Just I wanted a recommendation from the committee.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, thank you. Up next we got the highway. Tony.
Excuse me, we had a motion and a second, but we didn't have the vote, I don't believe.
You're right. I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you much. Now we'll give it to Tony.
All right, continuing our mowing, our roadways and airports, bridge repairs. We were able this year, which we haven't been able to do in the last several years, get our bridge crew out, sealing some of our concrete decks. We were on a pretty good cycle there for a while, and then manpower reasons we got away from it about 3 or 4 years ago. Hot mix patching the roads, continuing. We're still trucking along with replacing and repairing culverts, draining structures ahead of all of our road reconstruction projects that are coming up. Paving on County Routes 31 and 14 in the town of Greenport from Buckley's Corners to 9G. Right now is scheduled to begin next week. Should only be a couple-day job. Kyle Russo's was supposed to do it this week. They got pulled off on another job. So that's about 2.56 miles of paving on that road, those two roads, which are ready to go. Personnel, one employee out on leave of absence, one employee out on extended sick leave, one employee out on workers' comp, one highway equipment maintenance mechanic has resigned, and we hired one motor equipment operator out of the 4 job postings we have. That's the only application we got. New business annual safety training for the county, towns, villages, and city of Hudson was held on June 16th and 17th at the fairgrounds in person. That went very well. And I only have one resolution request tonight.
Tony, why did the mechanic, would he get another job somewhere else? What happened?
No, it was kind of a special circumstance. I'd be happy to discuss it after the meeting or in executive session.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I get it.
Okay.
Fine.
One resolution request, authorization to fill one position of highway equipment maintenance mechanic in the Highway Department Machinery Fund at the 2021 grade 15 step 1 salary of $46,999.
Do you have somebody?
No, not as of yet. I do not.
Okay. I'll move that.
Do that right here.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have tonight, believe it or not.
Tony, have you had any interaction with the state? We've had some complaints up around here between some of our town and county roads where they intersect with the state, that the state hasn't been able to do any roadside mowing, and it's causing some vision problems. I was going to reach out to Mike DeVal. I didn't know if you had anybody better to just. I'm sure they're short staffed like everybody else, but.
Yeah, Mike is usually who I deal with directly. We haven't gotten any complaints in here. A lot of times people call in here.
Yeah.
The county road, but.
Yeah, Chuck said he had a couple complaints around town, but they were state road intersections, you know.
Yeah. It's rare. Sometimes I'll see him out there on the weekends mowing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So yeah, I don't know if it's just a manpower issue or equipment issues or what.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I just didn't know if you know anything.
I can try and check into it if you like.
All right, yeah, just ask him, but
Yep, yep.
no big deal.
I had a complaint today about roadside mowing. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Arnold's Mills Road, I think that's 9 going between Kent where the Italian Delight used to be.
Yep.
Well, when people pull, you know that road by Chatham Auto Parts? I can't remember the name of it. Mike, what road is that? By where you come out of the Taconic Tell.
Slate Hill.
Slate Hill Road.
Yep, right, Slate Hill, as you head towards 9 and people pulling out of there onto 9, I guess the shrubbery is really impeding the line of sight. I don't know if that's your purview or.
That issue, that's an issue that's been there for years, I know, because that's our
Yeah.
bridge on that road, and I've always, anytime we ever worked on that bridge, that was always an issue. But it's the shrubs of the properties that are right there.
Right.
The property owner has resisted
Yeah.
quite vociferously having to me, I mean, the state can do what it needs to do or whoever, but that's been an issue for a while.
Yeah, we've had instances in the past where our mowers have gone through, not necessarily there, but other places, where the mower guy just went through and trimmed bushes back. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe sometimes we've ended up paying for those bushes that we've trimmed back. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky situation.
If they're in the right of way, can you, if they're like in the state or county right of way, can't you pretty much trim them?
If it's in our right of way, technically, yes, on paper we can. Again, it's a balance.
You can upset
Because I know we just had an issue with that in Greenport, and it was either trim them or they're coming out.
Yeah.
Because it was a danger to the neighbors and people pulling out. So you just got to be, you just have to be stern. You have to put your foot down.
That works well until the phone calls make their way back.
Listen, I just had 16 of them in my office.
Sometimes the problem is the road moves from the center line also. So, somebody's really got to go out there and shoot the meets and bounds to get their correct markings.
God.
Otherwise, it's a user road, and that's another issue.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's not so easy. Then
It's
you
always
wind up
up to
like
people
Tony
who know the law.
said. Yeah.
I had it easy today, though. I just said, call Ghent.
I'm sure.
Are you presenting for Barb here, are you?
She did not give me anything. I know I signed a resolution request for her today, but I did not get anything from Barb today for engineering.
Sherry has it presented here. I think one of the things is we've got where we have the multi-bridge contract is been opened and approved, and this is something that we generally do every year. Last year, we put off most all of it. We cut back the multi-bridge repair contract. This year, we're approving it at about the budgeted amount. Trying to think of what else was going on. We do have, here it is. Yep, she's got it. That contract is for $383,680,000. We have a resolution before us to approve that. I think that's the only resolution we had in there. Is that right, Sherry?
I think she had another one for that abandonment of that right away.
Oh, yes. Okay.
There's 2 resolutions. Thank you.
Yes. Well, first, let's do the multi-bridge contract. I think some of you are familiar with this annual.
I'll make that motion.
I've got a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the abandonment, I don't know, Tony, can you explain that any better? I did read that myself and talked to her about it a little bit, but.
Yeah, I believe from what I was told, it's something that started back in, I think, 2018. And they needed the state DOT to pretty much abandon the property to the county And then I believe the county is turning that over to the property owners.
Right.
I don't know the details of it, but that was kind of the way it went. It went from the state to the county, and now the county is turning it over to the property owners.
Okay.
Do I need a motion on this abandonment process?
So moved. Kippy.
Second Eldridge.
Others, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hey, Ron, do you know, has this been surveyed out too? And
Yes, yep, there is, I saw some of the survey information. The state did a bunch of this. It's been going on for a couple years.
okay. All right, that's all.
Is that it for engineering?
I think that's it for engineering.
Thank you.
Thank you. What we got next?
Facilities are up. Is Brian on?
Brian is on, yep.
Good evening, everybody. Let's see. Mainly the normal operations, and calls we're getting, backed up sinks, leaky faucets, the usual. Over at 560, we just finished the treasurer's office billing for the, to take on the mental health billing department. Up in the storage room, if everyone's aware about the 560, there was a lot of boxes. That was the county clerk's storage. So basically, we should be done. That room should be cleared by the end of this week or possibly next week. So whenever we get the opportunity, we might be able to look at doing something to that room. It's all free and clear now. Courthouse, the project's moving a little slower than I'd like, but we're constantly being stopped with court going on. We can't make any noise, so we have to kind of work around the judges. But we're moving forward with it. The flooring's been installed. I'm just waiting on colors on carpet. So we're probably a good month out at the rate we're going, just for the simple fact it's hard to get in there and work when the judges are having court. They stop us. We can't make noise. So let's see. Fire training center. The old fire training center, we had highway go in and they took down the classroom. We have to remove all the equipment from the property of, out in Philmont. So we've been working. I'm waiting on getting another quote for the tank removed. I believe we want the water tank brought to the fire training center. And then gonna try to reach out to the county attorney to see if we can put the bid out to get quotes to take down the training center, possibly just for the price of scrap, as long as they have insurance, instead of hiring someone to take it down. So we're looking into that too. Philmont Nutrition, hopefully, with vacations coming up and our limited schedule out there, we can only really work in the afternoon because we don't want to disrupt the kitchen. So we're pretty much almost done putting in the generator hookups. So this way, like I said, hopefully, knock on wood, probably will never happen, but at least they're there. It'll make it easy for us to get out there and get generators going to to save the inventory they have. Wastewater treatment, we've had 3 incidences, and then just one more yesterday. Both pumps clogged again. So I'm for, and I just came up with a list of the dates for this year, and I'm going to get it to Ray for his meeting tomorrow.
We got Kathy on it. It'll be all right.
Oh, and I was going to say, Kathy, check the laundry room too. I forgot about that. Sometimes those washing machines, if the filter, if the screen's removed, that could discharge some stuff.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you that.
All right. I'm on it. I told Ray, I said, I'm 65 now, so I have to be professional, but I will be Kathy.
Yeah. Getting Cemetery, we put a gate up in the, our ongoing issue and put some reflective placards. It's not going to stop them from getting in, but at least it, I think it covers our end for safety, Soil and water, just basic repairing the roof shingles here and there as they come off. That building's aging, so that's going to have to be on the radar probably coming up soon. The airport, we had a pre-con meeting for the upcoming 100 low lead tank replacement, and the bid opening is going to be on the 29th of this month. I think so far there's three firms interested. So, and along with other things, we're probably it may get delayed a little bit because, having issues getting some of the parts, but that's moving on. And, and three companies, one of them I've worked with, with the county before, one of the guys, so we'll see what happens. But other than that, I have a resolution unless anyone has any questions.
Solid waste, what do we do up there?
Solid waste. Yeah, we put some of the old sites, we had to put a new door in. Basically, sometimes they're in very rough shape. We don't want to do too much to them because I know they're due to probably get replaced, but it is what it is. And then the overhead door, we had to, there was a little incident we had to go up there and fix.
Okay.
So. Then let's see here. Then the resolution is due to retirement, we're requesting to create and fill one budgeted senior building maintenance worker position, grade 14A, and any vacancies that may be created due to internal promotions, and to abolish the senior position that is currently held by the retiring employee. This is to help continue and maintain the operational needs of the county properties with the added buildings to maintain, the additional procedures due to COVID, but luckily they've been restricted a little. And being down an employee, this position, kind of needs to get filled. We've taken on, the fire training center, veterans, and soil and water is asking for more. So we've had to do, the added cleaning and maintenance on some of these buildings. That's why, we're looking at filling this as soon as possible.
I'll move that.
Second, Ray Stats.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Carried. If there's nothing else for Brian, we'll move on to Jolene.
Okay, projects that we're working on. We are in the process of updating our scale software program due to the fact that it had some issues when the county did their upgrade to their operating system. Our scale went down 3 times on a Saturday, and needless to say, on a Saturday, our busiest day, caused a lot of unhappy people. The next 2 days, the scale operators will be doing their training, and then next week the administration, and we should go live with the new system on July 19th. MIS has been really great working with us to address these issues. Solid Waste Master Plan, the RFPs went out and they are due back on July 18th. We've had so far 6 consulting firms that have shown interest. The leachate bid, we just opened it on Monday. I don't have a resolution prepared for today, but it's still at 10 cents a gallon for a 2-year contract with Bill Baldwin. And again, this is to collect leachate from our Clover, Hillsdale, and Ancrum stations or landfills. Household hazardous waste grant, we received the first notification that the 2018 reimbursement will be received in the next few weeks. So that'll be $17,012.10, but we're still waiting the 19 and 20 reimbursements. The bid for the recycling top load building, went out on June 21st. Pre-bidders meeting with the contractors will be July 12th at Greenport Station, and the final bids are due back on August 9th. And I do have one resolution request before the committee, and due to a termination, I'm asking for permission to fill the position of MEO1 at a grade 12 starting salary, $37,612.
I'll move that. Kippy.
Second it.
Motion, Jimmy second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and are there any other questions? Okay, that's all I have.
There you go. Thank you, Jolene. Is there anything else to come to Public Works this evening? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn again.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi
there.
It was good to see everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, my boys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye now.